The Royal North Devon Yeomanry was a yeomanry regiment of the British Army, first raised in 1798. It participated in the Second Boer War and the First World War before being amalgamated with the Royal.First Devon Yeomanry in 1920 to form the Royal Devon Yeomanry. History, formation and early history. Under threat of invasion by the French Revolutionary government from 1793, and with insufficient military forces to repulse such an attack, the British government under William Pitt the Younger decided in 1794 to increase the militia and to form corps of volunteers for the defence of the country. The mounted arm of the volunteers became known as the Gentlemen and Yeomanry Cavalry. The Royal North Devon Yeomanry was first raised in 1798 as independent troops, one of the main organisers of which process was called John Roll, 1st Baron Roll, of Stevenston near Great Torrington, Devon. In 1803 it was regimented as the North Devonshire Mounted Rifles. Despite the end of the Napoleonic Wars in 1815, the yeomanry was retained by the government for military service in aid of the civil power in the absence of organised police forces. For example, in 1816, a mob forced its way into Bideford prison to try to release the ringleaders. Members of the regiment were mustered and patrolled the town all night. Several rioters were arrested and escorted to Exeter. The unwillingness of the government to pay for the yeomanry led to many corps being disbanded in 1827–28. 22 corps were authorized to continue officially, and another 16 were allowed to continue to serve without pay. Serving without pay from 1828 to 1831, the regiment was never disbanded. The regiment was renamed as the North Devonshire Regiment of Yeomanry Cavalry and in 1856 as the Royal North Devonshire Regiment of Yeomanry Cavalry. In 1868, the regiment was the Royal North Devon Hussars with headquarters at Barnstable. On 1 April 1893, the troops were reorganized in squadrons. Boer War. Due to the string of defeats during Black Week in December 1899, the British government realized they were going to need more troops than just the regular army, thus issuing a royal warrant on 24 December 1899 to allow volunteer forces serve in the Second Boer War. This warrant officially created the Imperial Yeomanry. The royal warrant asked standing yeomanry regiments to provide service companies of approximately 115 men each. In addition to this, many British citizens volunteered to join the new regiment. The Royal North Devon Hussars and the Royal.First Devonshire Yeomanry Cavalry co-sponsored the 27th Company of the 7th Battalion, Imperial Yeomanry, which arrived in South Africa on 23 March 1900. Upon their arrival, the regiment was sent throughout the zone of operations. On 17 April 1901, the regiment was renamed as the Royal North Devonshire Imperial Yeomanry and reorganized in 4 squadrons and a machine gun section. On 1 April 1908, the regiment was renamed for the final time as the Royal North Devon Yeomanry and transferred to the Territorial Force, trained and equipped as Hussars. Its organization was. It was ranked as 30th in the order of precedence of the yeomanry regiments in the Army List of 1914. First World War. In accordance with the Territorial and Reserve Forces Act 1907, which brought the Territorial Force into being, the TF was intended to be a home defense force for service during wartime and members could not be compelled to serve outside the country. However, on the outbreak of war on the 4th of August 1914, many members volunteered for Imperial service. Therefore, TF units were split in August and September 1914 into 1st Line and 2nd Line units. Later, a 3rd Line was formed to act as a reserve, providing trained replacements for the 1st and 2nd Line regiments. 1/1 of a Stone Royal North Devon Yeomanry. At the outbreak of the First World War, the regiment was part of the 2nd South Western Mounted Brigade. It mobilized on the 4th of August 1914 and, with its brigade, moved to the Colchester area. It was dismounted in September 1915. Still with the 2nd Southwestern Mounted Brigade, in September 1915 the regiment left Colchester for Liverpool. On the 24th of September it boarded RMS Olympic and sailed the next day. It arrived at Mudros on the 1st of October and on to Suvla Bay. The regiment landed in Gallipoli on the 9th of October and was attached to the 11th Division. In November it was in the firing line, attached to the 2nd Mounted Division and 53rd Infantry Division. On the 19th of December it was evacuated to Imbros. The diary of Lt. Colonel Robert Arthur Sanders of the Royal North Devon Yeomanry survives in the National Army Museum covering the Gallipoli campaign. Casualties of the regiment included Major Morland Greig of Edgecott, Exford, Somerset, then Master of the Devon and Somerset Staghounds, Captain John Oliver Clemson of Stevenston, St Giles in the Wood. On the 30th of December 1915, the regiment landed in Alexandria to help defend Egypt. In February 1916, 2nd Southwestern Mounted Brigade was absorbed into the 2nd Dismounted Brigade. It served on Suez Canal defenses and part of the Western Frontier Force. On the 4th of January 1917, the regiment was amalgamated with the 1/1 of a Stone Royal 1st Devon Yeomanry at Moascar, Egypt to form the 16th Battalion. Devonshire Regiment and 2nd Dismounted Brigade became 229th Brigade in the 74th Division. With the 74th Division, it took part in the invasion of Palestine in 1917 and 1918. It fought in the 2nd and 3rd Battles of Gaza. At the end of 1917, it took part in the capture and defense of Jerusalem and in March 1918 in the Battle of Tel Assur. On the 3rd of April 1918, the division was warned that it would move to France and by the 30th of April 1918 had completed embarkation at Alexandria. On the 7th of May 1918, 16th Battalion, Devonshire Regiment landed at Marseille, France with 74th Division. It served in France and Flanders with the division for the rest of the war. From September 1918, as part of 3rd Corps of 4th Army, it took part in the 100 Days Offensive including the 2nd Battle of the Somme and the battles of the Hindenburg Line. In October and November 1918 it took part in the final advance in Artois and Flanders. By the armistice it was east of Tournai, Belgique, still with 229th Brigade, 74th Division. 2/1 of a Stone Royal North Devon Yeomanry. The 2nd Line Regiment was formed at Barnstable in September 1914. In May 1915 it joined 2nd Southwestern Mounted Brigade at Woodbury. In September 1915 it moved to Colchester, taking over the horses of the newly dismounted 1st Line Regiment. On the 31st of March 1916, the remaining mounted brigades were ordered to be numbered in a single sequence. The brigade was numbered as 2nd Mounted Brigade and joined 1st Mounted Division. Division. In April 1916 it went to Norfolk. In July 1916 it became a cyclist unit in the 2nd Cyclist Brigade of the 1st Cyclist Division in the Oxford, Suffolk area. In November 1916, the 1st Cyclist Division was broken up and the regiment was amalgamated with the 2/1 of a stone Royal.First Devon Yeomanry to form the 4th Yeomanry Cyclist Regiment, still with the 2nd Cyclist Brigade in Norfolk. In March 1917 it resumed its identity as 2/1 of a stone Royal North Devon Yeomanry, still with the 2nd Cyclist Brigade, at Melton Constable before moving to East Deer and later in 1917. In May 1918 it went to Ireland with the 2nd Cyclist Brigade and was stationed at Longford until the end of the war. 3/1 of a stone Royal North Devon Yeomanry. The 3rd Line Regiment was formed at Barnstaple in 1915. In the summer it was affiliated to a reserve cavalry regiment at Tidworth. In the summer of 1916 it was dismounted and attached to the 3rd Line groups of the Wessex Division as its 1st line was serving as infantry. Disbanded in early 1917, with personnel transferring to the 2nd Line Regiment to the 4th Battalion of the Devonshire Regiment at Bournemouth. Post-war, on the 7th of February 1920, the regiment was reconstituted in the Territorial Army with HQ still at Barnstaple. Following the experience of the war, it was decided that only the 14 most senior yeomanry regiments would be retained as horse cavalry, with the rest being transferred to other roles. As a result, on the 7th of June 1920, the regiment was amalgamated with the Royal.First Devon Yeomanry to form the Royal Devon Yeomanry and simultaneously transferred to the Royal Artillery to form 11th Army Brigade. RFA. List of commanding officers. Lieutenant Colonels of the North Devon Hussars included: Sir Robert Boucher Sherrod Ray, 11th Baronet of Tavistock Court; Hugh Fortescue, 4th Earl Fortescue of Castle Hill, Filly; Robert Sanders, 1st Baron Bayford; Algernon Carteret Thynne, DSO of Penstow, Cornwall. Battle Honours. The Royal North Devon Yeomanry was awarded the following battle honours. Bibliography. Beck Major F. Order of Battle of Divisions Part 2A. The Territorial Force Mounted Divisions and the 1st Line Territorial Force Divisions. London, His Majesty's Stationery Office. ISBN 1-871-16712-4. Beck Major F. Order of Battle of Divisions Part 2B. The 2nd Line Territorial Force Divisions with the Home Service Divisions and 74th and 75th Divisions. London, His Majesty's Stationery Office. ISBN 1-871-16700. Beck Major F. Order of Battle of Divisions Part 3A. New Army Divisions. London, His Majesty's Stationery Office. ISBN 1-871-16708-6. James Brigadier. British Regiments 1914-18. London, Samson Books Limited. ISBN 0-906304-032. Milam, Patrick. The Yeomanry Regiments, 200 Years of Tradition. Edinburgh, Canongate Academic. ISBN 1898410364. Rinaldi, Richard A. Order of Battle of the British Army 1914. Ravi Rikai. ISBN 9780977607280. Westlake Ray. British Regiments at Gallipoli. Barnsley, Leo Cooper. ISBN 085052-511-X.